A lot of offense, and that's what it takes to win these matches and try and take down these big titles.
No case, Jeremy, but they're both guys who have made big progress on the tour over the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, AJ, a lot more limited time on tour, but has shown us a ton and shown the entire world or another, some medical stuff, some prior commitments, and you know, you kind of seem like maybe there's some players on a certain level that feel like this is a very good opportunity to make a deep run and maybe get somewhere where I could get that title.
We told you we'd let you know how the Mickey Krause match finished. We did even better by showing it to you there, and he is now through. So the familiar names, you could feel the tension in the air on the final day. It was the opportunity of a lifetime for those guys, and some responded to it better than others who stood up best to it. And you know, it's not even just in terms of the chance for someone to come through and win it, but there must be guys looking at the draw and thinking, okay, these are all good players, but there's nobody really standing in my way of a quarter-final, semi-final run. That's the big test today and into tomorrow. How do they respond to having a big opportunity to really go deep in one of these events, an opportunity that they might not normally have?
Really not much of an option, or a percentage option anyways. Got a lot of power though. Good touch. You know, and you look at, do we have any our semifinalists? Didn't make it.
It's gone, and well, Labutus as well was the other one, so very good point.
Yeah, and you know, Makinen, right, he was kind of getting back on the scene with those semifinalists we may not expect, and we'll see how they respond.
HOANG hasn't been to a big semi-final yet, but he's been in some big quarter-finals. In fact, he was in one. This afternoon, it's all about trying to claim a last 16 spot. And he's off to a decent start in that quest. AJ MANAS scratched off the break.
There's breaking the balls, jumping the ball, elevating the cue. I think he's one of the best out there. Really doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses when it comes to offensive part of the game, and he needs to leave the bottom half of the cue ball here. If he just rolls out on the rail, I think he gets this back. He needs the cue ball off the cushion. And he didn't leave it much off the cushion, so
much higher than that over the years. He is certainly at the front of the queue.
Surprised he's taking this. Now, he had more faith in hitting it that well than you would think anyways. May run the cue ball back where he's at now. Nice, hit it super thin. So AJ's going to have a combination to get started. Got to predict where the cue ball and the two balls going after that combination. Awkward cueing here. When's the time to bring him out with the big boys, really, you know? And like, what's the kid's name from Germany that's so good? Vogels, right? And
yeah, Felix Vogel.
As a young man, but as a favorite in a lot of matches also, so which is a different kind of feeling than an underdog. We've seen that before. As you don't want to pull these kids out too early, but this AJ MANAS, he's definitely ready to be out here with the big boys, I think.
Yeah, and in any sport, you're always looking for new stars to come through, and when you pinpoint them, you're not just looking at their ability to play, it's everything else about them, the way they play, the style, and a little bit of unpredictability goes a long way, and I think MANAS has got the full package in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, didn't get to talk to him a ton there at the PLP, but seems like a genuinely sharp young man, and a really good young man.
And certainly a very good player. And he's levelled in the early stages of this match at 1-1. Yeah, it's the second matchroom event in a row they've actually played each other, because they met in the Premier League. Bidding to reach his first ever last 16 in one of these events. And he's breaking at 1-1.
And he's picked up the speed since the PLP also, and looking for a pocket on the three. He's got it in the side. Well, he's got the corner also, never mind, the 8's not in the way, so this is a more comfortable way to play the ball. Again, another gorgeous day here in Telford. Just really awesome weather, and I would never say we hear complaints about the tables. You know, sometimes it's just comments, oh man, they're playing super tough, or, you know, maybe a hair bouncy because of this or that, but no complaints this week with the weather so perfect. We play indoors, but I don't know, I just think it keeps the players in a better mood. Everyone feels better about things when the weather's so nice. Now this shot got awfully odd from nowhere. I'd spin. The 9's a big ball as far as getting shape on that black 8. Yeah, I thought it was missable. He tried to attack with outside, and I don't think that was a big option, really.
Fancy DUONG to retake the lead here. He has lost a match already this week. DUONG was beaten in winners qualification by Radoslav Babica, the Japanese World Cup player, and had a real battle earlier today against Dean Shields from Manchester, who of course beat him in his home country at the Hanoi Open back in October, 10-8. And it was the other way around this time. DUONG coming through 10-8, and here he is in the last 32. And perhaps unexpectedly, given the position MANAS was in a few shots ago.
Wouldn't get so concerned with where the one's going. Just try and hold it, you know, fully, and just take your chances leaving something long. And a nice shot. Talked about yesterday, got a little quiet for maybe a year or so, but I think he's back and he's better. And a great shot there with the jump cue. And what I was talking about earlier, there's players you don't necessarily list as the best jumper. At Scottish Open last year, that was an incredible field, just like it was this year, and DUONG took that down. And that kind of field are the type of players you got to beat once, where they can win one of those smaller ranking events, even though a tough field compared to one of these majors.
Yeah, he was back in Glasgow last week to defend that Scottish Open title. And then beaten by Riku Rompainen in losers qualification. But that's not quite as early an exit as it will be in one of these events, because it was only a 16-man single elimination phase. He's also been a semi-finalist recently in one of the smaller ranking events, the final.
All right, he's going to draw the ball here. Ivan should extend his lead. Yeah, I mean, you know, was in a real battle in his last round. He was in a few battles to survive, from what I remember, on the one-loss side of the early rounds of this event. So he's just become a real seasoned veteran that has a lot of talent.
Now that's table 5, Loho Sum, who we were talking about a few moments ago. Has that great record against top players, but again, here he is struggling against someone who you might have made him favourite against, Imran Majid. And if this falls nicely for the matches going on back here on the main table, DUONG off to a very good start.
Yeah, this didn't like the way those opened too much. We'll get another look here in a moment. Kind of wonder if the rack was fully intact.
2 drawing ones in a row for DQH. Almost went further. He was involved in a wonderful match against Carlo Biado. Only went down 10-9.
You know, and all players have their own pace of play, but one thing all of us can take from this young man is he doesn't worry about the simple ones. You know what I mean? Like when you get in a big moment, you can start to stress about all shots. And when you don't allow that to happen, when you do get in that stressful situation, you're not already there. So it doesn't get so high and intense between the ears, which definitely affects the back arm.
Yeah, and he's got that youthful sense of not really having any major battle scars in his past. And yeah, it's reflected in his manner around the table and the way he plays, and well, that's managed to stay up, so this should be a very quick rack. DUONG not getting away with the dry break this time. AJ MANAS closes to 1 behind at 3-2.
This table's been awfully stingy on the one. Not so much with the cue ball, it seems, and steady, very smart player. But I always felt like Comino had, of course, being younger and whatnot, and still trying to. Guy that, you know, we all like the guy that can keep it between the ears, but I also like that player that doesn't mind showing how upset they are about a loss and whatnot, even.
Mino, but I think he said last year he just wants to be known as Suto now.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a different thing with names in Spain. It's something to do with the names of both of the families that you've come from, both your parents.
Yeah, a bunch of youngsters playing in this round, of course. Game's getting younger, it seems like every sport.
You know, both of these guys, in different ways, make it look really easy, don't they? Manas just glides around the table, and DUONG sort of ambles around the place a little bit, almost like he's not really even thinking about what he's doing. They can both make the game look a good deal easier than we know it certainly is. And this has been a good start from DUONG QUOC. Scratch break from Manas again. And he's exploited it just as much as he did in the opening rack, and so we now have multiple racks in it for the first time in the contest. DUONG's lead is 4-2.
Sam Anderson, good shout out to him making that final 64. Constantly building on that game. I know he didn't have the match he wanted. See a combination of really good fundamentals and a lot of talent between DUONG and MANAS.
Beaten Braben by 10 racks to 6. Now faces a very interesting clash with the tournament favourite Joshua Filler.
Yeah, and hats off to Tyler. A lot of people, doesn't seem like there's a mistake in him at the moment, Joshua Filler, but we'll see how it unfolds.
Steyer's one of those guys who, if he was playing team sports, he'd be a fan favourite, because you know he's always going to go out there. It means so much to him.
Yeah, and he's, you know, in a team sport, especially a pro sport, there's players that always get questioned. Oh, why are they starting? Why are they on the team? Why are they players that they play with understand that role that they play and they bring every time? And Tyler's kind of one of those, and that's why to me, and unless someone shows otherwise, he's a hard guy not to pick for that Mosconi Cup team. Boy, he got odd here. Can he get enough on it to move the cue ball out? Oh, sweet stroke. Elevated over the 9. That one will make you feel good.
Oh, and he's now completed the first half of that task in very impressive fashion. And with his first break and run, indeed the first break and run from either player, DUONG goes 3 clear. He starts us off again, leading 5-2.
So should just cross this over, try to run the cue ball behind the pink. Double kissed it, may fluke it. The top cushion, that's why. Kind of lost the mark on the shot itself. Miscue, it sounded like. The gap at the 3 here definitely has a piece of it, and so may have a direct look. He's so good when he elevates the cue. It's amazing, really.
How many times did we say that during the Reyes Cup last year? We kept pointing to that particular strength of his.
Sachet around the table, but I'll tell you one thing he does better than most is he stays real still when he elevates that cue, and that makes a huge difference on success. To put all the heat possible on this young man of AJ MANAS, and it's got to be that way just because I kind of feel like MANAS has the mentality, I don't care what the score is, as long as I can get to the breaking end, I can make up a lot of ground quickly.
Yeah, DUONG was one of the stars of that Reyes Cup week in Manila back in October. He won both of his doubles and one of his singles. He actually had a chance to clinch the cup for Asia. Chance to get Asia to the magic number of 11, but he lost to Shaw as well and fell to MVP Aloysius Yap to clinch it in the next match against FSR.
I feel like Team Asia kind of corralling around this man at the table right now had a big part on them. The camaraderie they showed for this man here really helped that team to an easy win.
Yeah, they were 4-0 up in that opening team match. Europe came back to win 5-4, but that in no way set the tone.
DUONG got the one down on his last. Nice. I think figured out the speed a little better, and he's going to get a look at the blue too, and a good look it is. Very natural position to come up for the 3. So.
And almost went further. He was only beaten Hill by Mark Bijsterbosch.
Yeah, it seems like every match that week at the Spanish Open was Hill.
Put us all through the ringer because, as you recall, that venue was so hot. Wanted to punish us by keeping us in there as long as possible. But it was a great tournament, won by Dang Junhui. Double bill, of course, with the World Cup.
Yeah, I tell you, those events, and Lugo is a beautiful city. I mean, just, it was easy to stay there anyways, but sometimes you have back-to-back events. It can, this angle shows us he's got even more going towards the 7. That's just a beautiful shot. You talk about one that is high there. 7 does pass the 8, so no real issues.
Yeah, he had those couple of quarter-finals year before last, but didn't really build in 2024 and didn't go any further. That was at the US Open. SVB actually ended his run there. But he's already at a quarter-final this year at the European Open. On this form, who's to say what he might do here in Telford this week, because he's playing really well, and with his second break and run in the last 3 racks, DUONG has pushed his lead out to 7-2. DUONG in total control. And as you said, JJ, MANAS the sort of player who, if he can get a foothold, can turn this around. And maybe it's going to come here. Well, maybe not.
If he hits underneath it, he feels like the 1 is wired to the upper corner off the red 3. Yeah. Very good experience beyond his years, this young man.
Starts to turn this around here.
Oh no. Overcut the 2 to the pocket suspect. Now he's got to do something. The 4 doesn't pass. So he's coming across for the combination.
Well, this would be a very nice way to start the comeback. A quick kill. And AJ MANAS finally stops the rot. He'd lost 4 in a row before that. But the combination for the first time as he started a big comeback. Was 7-2 down, but he has just taken rack 10. But needed to build on it with the 1 in the side.
I hate to say it, Michael. I don't think these guys are getting the... He's going to elevate, so he's going to draw to the side cushion, trying to kill the ball bit for the 2. Wants to fall here underneath it. Where is it? Okay, looks like it's just going to stun. Going to need a friendly bump. I think he'll get it.
You always do.
6-9, 3 rails to the center of the table. That actually lays pretty decent. Like this. Speed control's very ideal. Not getting too thin, but also
this is turning into just about as good a display as we've seen from anyone on the main table next round, because he played Torsten Homan twice during that run to the quarterfinals in Sarajevo back in March, beat him in winners qualification, and then after Homan had come through on the loser side.
I've had my eyes on Thorsten several times this week, and I really like what I've seen. Always plays steady, I mean, but I just feel like he looks really comfortable. Playing good shot on the 6 there, by the way. Coming 4 rails for position on the brown.
MANAS' attempted comeback has been stopped in its tracks very quickly there. He's going to have to start another recovery now. DUONG breaking with an 8-3 lead. He's made the one.
Q. If you happen to miss the bank. So he's just going to kind of nip this behind the 3. And Ron taking.
On the flip side, of course, it will be so hard to take if he loses from the position he was in.
Probably pretty obvious. Now he's got to draw the cue balls, so shouldn't be a problem. An easy missed ball from DUONG.
He's just about through.
Watch out for the 9. If it clips the 9 the wrong way.
8-9. Claim the last 32 spot here in his home open.
And he's going to get this 8-9. And tell you what else he needs to do. He needs to.
Single elimination. Both now been eliminated following the defeat earlier today for defending champion Robbie Capito.
A huge shot there from DUONG, especially after missing a pretty easy. After making that miss, a lot of players easy to maybe want to draw that, make the make a little easier, a little more comfortable. I have to play this inside if I don't have to. It's perfect here. He'll just go one rail between the 8 and 9. Just.
So as I said, two players who've really made a name for themselves to one extent or another on the World 9-Ball Tour. At this and expecting a close one. Not looking so likely now. Killed this as a contest.
Yeah, really. I mean, besides the break shot, which has cost MANAS 2 scratches, of course, that you can't always predict, some dry breaks, but clearing mistake, it's just been exceptional pull by the Vietnamese star.
And that is now 6 of the last 7 racks have gone in his favour. He just needs one more to advance. DUONG begins the rack, which may well take him through to the last 16. About as well as we've seen him play. He's been out on the main table.
Yeah, there hasn't been. He's escaped. Now, there's only been a couple of those. It hasn't been some type of continuous luck. It's been awesome play to get to this 9-3 score. And in return, this is what AJ has given up, you know, when he has had.
From here, QUOC has just basically controlled the match.
Yeah, we've had a few scores like this today, but not performance and maybe a hair of fortune at the right time. Ooh. Okay, got it down. He finally missed the ball, but
16, the last remaining last 64 match has just been completed. Max Lechner winning that hill finish against Wang Hung Sang. Lechner, another player who has yet to win one of these big matchroom titles. It's no surprise to see the name DUONG QUOC English Open in 23, the European Open already this year. But perhaps the way he's playing here,
he finally gave one up. Didn't expect it there, but 3 victory, but AJ still got a chance.
as we were beginning to pen the last rights for this match. MANAS looks as though he's going to extend it here. DUONG has done very little wrong in this match. He did something wrong there though, and he's paid the price for it. So MANAS keeps it going. It's 9-4. Here in Telford, it's all about the UK Open this week. AJ MANAS is battling to stay in it.
Pushing out to some type of real first shot with the draw stroke. Hard to get enough speed on the one a lot of times. Not doing real well unless he catches the point. Yeah, just a little light. Pure stroke there to draw off the 6. That was a very heavy contact on the 6 also.
Previous rack, couldn't quite get the job done then. Still some way off that happening for HOANG this week, but if he can continue to play like this, who's to say it won't be his time.
Just one more task really here on the 4. 2 rails for the 5. Is that enough speed? It's got to go a little bit. Yes, it is.
He's looked very in control of his game. Yes, there was that lapse in the previous rack, but it was very much at odds with what we've seen from him throughout the day. But hold on, what's he done here?
Yeah, as soon as he hit it, it seemed like too much speed, and now I don't think this is really cuttable. Undoubtedly going to draw the cue ball. This is short, so AJ's still got light.
For the second rack in a row.
Yeah, it's going to hold up. So DUONG's going to get a pretty easy shot at the 8 to finish this match.
Well, as I said, I think we expected a close one here, and it looked as though we were going to get it when MANAS was only one behind at 3-2. Friday at these events is all about claiming one of those coveted last 16 spots, and the first of them has gone to QUOC HOANG. He defeats AJ MANAS by 10 racks to 4. He's through to the last 16 of the UK Open. So a fine performance from Vietnam's Reyes Cup hero.